Hi guys, this is Fredrik from Opeth and you're watching the Guitar Mania show.
Fredrik,
Yeah.
great to have you here in Vienna for the Pale Communion tour.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back.
Thanks. Can you tell us what's the title about of the new album?
I think it might have to do with the lyrics because Pale Communion, all the lyrics are kind of bleak and a bit, I wouldn't say depressing, but in a way they're kind of dark, and that's, I think, a reason why this title.
Right. You said you were closely involved in the recording process of the new album. Can you talk a bit how long it took you guys to record Pale Communion?
Well, we recorded at Rockfield Studios in Wales, in the UK. Classic studio, a lot of famous bands has been there, like Rush, Queen, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, to name a few. We recorded the album for it took us 13 days, including setting the sounds. So it was a very quick and efficient recording because we stayed there, we had our meals there and everything.
Yeah.
So that made us able to work about 14 hours days, you know. And we got a lot of stuff done. And we spent a lot of time with A/B testing different amps, different guitars, pedals and everything to get the type of guitar tone we were out for.
Okay, and then you and Michael, how did that work? I mean, who decided I'm using that amp and I'm using that amp? How was that?
Yeah, the amps we ended up using was we had Plexi had the Yngwie J. Malmsteen Plexi had the Santiago designed it for him.
Yeah. I
bought that for the album, and we used that in the 50-watt mode. And also the classic bridge over between channel 1 and 2. Pretty much everything on full for the heavy rhythm sound. And Mike was using the JVM Joe Satriani edition for his heavy rhythms. So it was we usually do just one guitar each, left, right for that.
So 2 guitars and that's it, basically.
Yeah, for this album. I mean, on Watershed we did 2 each. But there's quite a lot of keyboards in this album, so we didn't feel it was necessary because there's so much other stuff going on. And we kind of liked the idea just to put 1 down each, as it is live, you know. So that was cool. We ended up using last album we had more of a single coil type of sound. On this one we went back with a more combination of a humbucker and a P90 pickup. Those sounds. And for lead sounds, we used the Plexi Marshall head with an extra distortion pedal just to get a bit more sustain.
Which distortion pedal did you use?
It was actually a guy called V-Man, a guitar tech, who works with Mastodon, or worked. He had that pedal borrowed to us. Okay. He built it himself.
Okay. And in terms of who played the solos on the album?
From the beginning I played first song solo, the second song and the third song. Like those more solos. Mike, the leads Michael play on those songs are the more calm kind of melodies. And for the song River, which is the number 6 on the album, the second half of the song, when it gets heavier, it's a trade-off solo between me and Mike, and he's the one who starts, and it's me, and it's Mike, and that's me. So that's basically it. I play some fill-in leads on the 7th track. What's it called? Can't remember.
I have to look it up. Anyway,
so we kind of split it that way. Mike said he wants me to play the more shreddy types of solos, if you want to put it that way.
And how do you go about writing the solos? Is it just spontaneous and then the producer hits the record button, or is it like you work on it and it's like a mini composition that you're doing there?
It varies, I think. On the song Cusp of Eternity for the new album, it was Mike, he wanted me to come down to the studio and just play a solo for this thing in the demo stage. and I just improvised a thing, and it's basically it that I play on the album. I pimped it up a little bit, small details. But that's also both good and bad in a way, because if you do an improvised take and then you listen to it before you're going to do the album, you get so used to that solo. So whatever you comes up with, it's going to sound weird, maybe. But and it's interesting to relearn those things when I improvise, because I don't really know what I'm doing.
That was my next question. I mean, when you improvise, and it's a good idea that you've laid down on the tape, perhaps, then sometimes you have to relearn what you played or to listen to it again, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be a bit of a challenge sometimes. I have to, what the hell did I do there? But for instance, the song on Moon Above, Sun Below, that is so I spent quite a lot of time thinking out. I want it to be more written type of solo.
Right. And what about reproducing the solo then live? I mean, do you try to be faithful of what you did on the record?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I pretty much try to play it as I did on the record. If I don't come up with something I really like to put in there, but for the older solos that Peter Lindgren did, I want to respect him for that and play them pretty much note by note the way he played it. And also for my solos, I try to put a lot of time into the solos that they should sound different from one each other, and also that the main thing that they connect with the song. That's the goal. Yeah. Then if it's happening.
How is it working with Mikael? I mean, he's the boss, isn't he? I mean, he's the band boss. How is it? I mean, is he very demanding? Does he let you a lot of freedom, or how can one imagine working with Mikael?
Well, if he has an idea and really want to go for it, then he could be pretty stubborn, I guess. But that's a good thing, though. He has a very strong vision as soon as he gets the sight in aim. Well, the aim in sight, I mean. So, well, but also I would say he gives quite a lot of freedom as well. I think when it comes to solos or something, he usually say he likes the heat of the moment kind of thing. He says to me that I should just improvise something.
So capturing the moment is very important for him too. How does that work also live on stage? I mean, it's presumably every night's different depending on the venue and the crowd.
Oh yes, but I mean, the main goal is to nail every note and every backing vocal thing. Perfect. That's always the goal, to make the perfect show.
What are your preferred songs that you're playing live at this tour?
This tour, I really enjoy playing the new stuff, but also we play some stuff from the real old catalogue, like Advent from the second album, My Arms Yours. No, second album is Morning Rise, sorry. That song Advent from Morning Rise we play, and that's really fun to play that old stuff. And somehow I think it relates with the new Opeth sound as well when we blend it up as we do live.
Let us turn a bit to your beginnings, Fredrik, and then I would also be interested to hear about whether you still practice and how much you practice. What turned you to play the guitar in the first place? How did you start?
It was Ace Frehley and Angus Young that woke my interest. That was seeing something really exciting. Ace Frehley with his makeup and everything. That was cool. When you're 9 years old, I was like, wow. And but what got me practicing a lot was when Ed Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, Richard Blackmore, Uli Roth, Michael Schenker, those type of guys were big influences in the beginning. Randy Rhoads, Al Di Meola, Alan Holdsworth and stuff like that.
And what are you listening to nowadays?
I guess when I was younger, I always tried to learn solos from different favorite players and see if I was able to do it, like testing myself. But I never tried to learn the entire album of everybody, because it could be dangerous. You get sucked up in somebody else's style too much, maybe. But today, what I listen to guitar, when it comes to guitar players.
Yeah, for instance.
Yeah, I like Jeff Beck a lot. I went to see him live. I think he expressed himself with the guitar like a vocalist almost. And he seems to be one of those guys who doesn't stagnate. He always develops himself.
And his phrasing is just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's unbelievable.
And also, sometimes when I try to, it's fun with playing guitar. You can always develop and get better and learn more styles or whatever. So sometimes if I'm bored with my playing, I go on YouTube and check out like Greg Howlick or something like that.
Okay.
That could be a good inspiration to, not to steal licks, but you should try to learn them and create something of your own, using the lick maybe as an inspiration.
Do you still practice?
Yeah, quite a lot.
What?
Usually I tend to just try to play after a beat and try to make it musical, so it's in time, and maybe a melody comes up or something that's consistent. And also with the looper pedal, I have that. Dito had a TC electronic looper, and that's a good practice tool, I think. Put on some chords and practice over chord, yeah. You know, it's probably a better way to practice, because I've done my time with practicing scales and stuff like that up and down. I have a couple of pieces, Paganini things, that I practiced when I was younger, and they're still a challenge to nail.
You must have seen Crossroads, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's always, like, stuff like that is good for warming up to get the coordination going, I think.
So basically you do warm-up Paganini etudes or
for a warm-up thing and it's always a quest. Maybe, hopefully, someday I'm going to be able to play it without a bound note.
We shouldn't ask that, but how fast can you play the 16th notes beats per minute? I mean, what would you think should I don't know. Should a player be able? I mean, to play a certain, I don't know, up to a certain speed. I mean, of course, there's been in the 80s, particularly this obsession with speed and everything. But and speed is not everything, but to a certain extent, you have to have a certain technique, presumably, to realize what is in your head. Would you agree with that, or do you have a different approach to that? I
think you can. It's more of a tool. I think speed. You can apply it in a musical way or in a non-musical way. If it's just like a marathon, after a while it's not so interesting for the ear. I think it has to be something musical about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still very much enjoy playing fast stuff. If you're at soundcheck, it's fun.
And do you do also your own solo stuff? Do you write songs?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, I have a lot of embryos back home in the hard drive. So I try to write ideas for the new Opeth as well. And Mikael liked a few ideas, but it didn't end up on the album this time around. But we co-written some stuff in the past for Watershed, for instance. We co-wrote Porcelain Heart together, a song on heritage as well.
What would be if you were to give one piece of advice to young aspiring musicians, what would that be if they want to make it in the music business?
Find a good band, of course, to play with. Practice. One thing that I thought about when I was younger and I really just wanted to learn how to play fast is to practice slow. I think that's probably the most important thing if you want to reach
That's
speed.
a great piece of advice, actually. Yeah.
Because a lot of people tend to rush that, and it could become a bit blurry, and it's difficult to wash that away in the future. So it's better just to, if you practice slow, the speed will increase automatically, I think.
Which goes nicely with the question that your answer of before was talking about speed and everything, because playing really, being conscious of what you're playing and then trying to play it without any errors and mistakes, I think is vital. Yeah,
and it's important. I noticed in the beginning of a tour, you have so many new songs and everything, and you can be a bit nervous. It's very important to try to relax. If you cramp up before a part, if you're nervous, it could end up in you doing a mistake. So if you remember to breathe more and relax, it's definitely going to help you.
Which raises another question. Are you still nervous before going on stage?
Well, now we've done 12 shows, I think, something like that, and now we're starting to get into it.
You're settling into the touring.
But you're always a little bit nervous, but I think that's important. You should be.
To have the adrenaline and
kick.
Fredrik, last question. What would be the top 5 albums of all time that you think every guitar maniac or just music lover should have listened to or should listen to?
It's a difficult one. One of my favorites is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath with Black Sabbath, and albums that were important for me when I grew up was first Dio, Holy Diver. Breaker album with the Accept was important. I think Master of Puppets with Metallica was one of them.
One more.
But there's so many more great albums. It's very difficult.
Any of the guitar heroes? Like, have you ever been?
I think one album that's a bit timeless is Yngwie Malmsteen's first album, Rising Force, because it had a lot of great melodies in it, and they're in a way timeless. So I still enjoy listening to that album.
I think that's even a little anniversary this year, because that was published in 1984, I think, Yngwie Malmsteen's first. So this 30 years ago, basically.
Yeah,
it's nice that you're mentioning that.
Yeah, I really like it. It's a fantastic album.
Great. Look, Fredrik, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. All the best.
My pleasure.
Remaining for the tour.
Thank you.